In 1887, Vincent Van Gogh met fellow impressionist Camille Pissarro. And one of the things that Pissarro was known for was, and his biographer actually said, George Moore, said that personne n'était plus gentil que Pissarro. No one was gentler or kinder than Pissarro. He was a very kind person, and he esteemed Vincent Van Gogh. He could tell that he was brilliant as an artist, and actually said that he would surpass all the other Impressionist artists. And it happens that when George Moore was visiting with Pissarro, I guess one time in Rouen, he found him full of enthusiasm and interested in everything and everyone. Now, these things go together. And the fact that Vincent Van Gogh really appreciated Pissarro and his basic approach to human beings is of significance. It happens that the same thing that Van Gogh valued, Pissarro valued, and they overlapped in a number of ways, and actually Pissarro ended up purchasing two of Van Gogh's paintings, Père Tanguy, and then his mulberry tree painting, which is quite amazing. And so there was a certain mutual awareness of things here. And it fit with some things that, exposures, I would say, that Van Gogh had, even to the writings of Thomas Carlyle, and some of the ways he expressed really the divinity of God, the beauty and glory of God coming through the creation. And Thomas Carlyle once said, through every star, through every blade of grass, is not God made visible if we are open in our minds and hearts? This was something that Pissarro and others saw in Vincent Van Gogh's paintings. They saw this wonder and this awe and this mystery that is captured here. And in one of his letters to his brother Theo, Vincent actually said, enfin, French for finally, I have a landscape with olive trees and also a new study of a starry sky. He was very much moved by the power and the beauty and the glory and the uniqueness of the created by the hand of God and all that was around him. And then he ended up seeing things of value in the people around him. And he thought about individuals and valued individuals. And this is why he talked about certain relationships and about love quite often in his letters as he went through his adult life. Now, it happens that that he learned this in some way, perhaps through his family, perhaps through other people in his life. But we know that he did focus quite a bit on the words and the actions of Jesus Christ. Christ. And it happens that Jesus Christ, above all other human beings, knew the value of the individual because he made each of them. This is what the Apostle John, his closest friend on earth, wrote in John 1, that no one was made without Jesus Christ. All things were made by him, through him, for him. And this needs to register with human beings who have any interest in living a meaningful, connected life, relational, spiritual life, which Vincent was seeking. There's no doubt about that. He was seeking, up until he ended up really kind of being brought down by some of the corruption in the world and by the negativity. And there were a couple things spiritually that he had not experienced fully, which kind of account for some of what he had to deal with later in his life, which I will come back to. But there's something about Jesus's interactions with human beings that is instructive. It's informative for all human beings, regardless of what your current view is on life and on the world. You look at the accounts, the eyewitness accounts of those who knew him best while he was on the earth. And you see, for instance, in John 4, John recording an interaction that Jesus had with a woman at the well, a public well, where she was getting water. And they had the most amazing spiritual conversation at lunchtime when no one else was around. Everybody else was eating lunch. They had the most amazing interaction because Jesus Christ chose to value her and share some of the most important truth that he ever shared when he was on the earth. He shared with her. And you see the contrast between what he shared with her and what he shared with one of the greatest teachers of the Jews, Nicodemus, in the previous chapter, John 3. You see the way he valued her and listened to her. First, he told her some truth, some reality, and that helped her, actually, to open up and listen. And we'll come back to that. But that's a part of the caring process that we learn best from Jesus. We hear something about this from his brother in his writing later on in the book of James, in chapter 1, where James is actually saying, be quick to listen, slow to speak. I have shared that verse with atheists all over the earth, and they agree, all human beings agree, that their lives would be improved, no doubt about it, if the people around them were better listeners, if they weren't just talking at them all the time, if they were better listeners. Now the reality is, you and I become a more caring human being when we actually value each individual that we interact with and we listen to them. We actually hear their hearts. Now, Jesus did this with the woman at the well. He also did it with Zacchaeus in Luke 19. He did it with many, many people throughout the Gospels in the New Testament. And it's a fascinating study, actually, if you want to do that, to just look at his personal interactions with people, including when he was healing people and feeding people, what he shared with them, and really how attentive he was to them. And it ended up that those people were quite attentive to him. Now, this is part of what we were talking about with Pisao. It's also a part of what other writers have talked about in terms of what real love, real caring is about. Listening is involved. Now, I would say that in some way that listening equals loving. When we have problems in our relationships, sometimes it's because we're not really being quick to listen and slow to speak. As I said before, many unbelievers, many people in the world know that this is a true principle, regardless of anything else, that this is truth. And it's just one of many, many truths in the Word of God, in the Bible, the Holy Bible. And it comes out of the mouth of Jesus Christ and all those that he discipled and taught. So this is important for us. It was important for Pissarro. It's important for Vincent Van Gogh and his brother Theo. It's important for all these different writers and philosophers. So I would say that listening equals loving. And this is a big part of it. One of the things that is so interesting is that from Etten in the Netherlands, September 7th, 1881, Vincent van Gogh wrote to his brother saying, there are three possibilities in life: to never love or be loved, to love but not to be loved back, to love and to be loved. Now, this is kind of where we started with this whole caring process. And Vincent van Gogh himself is identifying this, the third possibility, to love and to be loved. He said the best possibility, the best option is number three. And he said, love, after all, is a positive thing, strong and real. These are the words of Vincent van Gogh. But before that, they were the words of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ conveys this in every way in his life on the earth, in all of his teaching. This is what Jesus was about. Now, another famous person, Søren Kierkegaard, the great philosopher, perhaps one of the greatest philosophers in Europe, he actually said a couple of things about this. He said, our best is to love God supreme with all of our heart and in all sincerity. Now, this is what Jesus said last time when I was reading to you. He was quoting out of Deuteronomy the greatest truth, the greatest command of God. And it's really what human beings are made for. And Søren Kierkegaard nails it. He had read the Bible and knew that this was true, just like we noted with the other verses. He knew this was true from his own experience, and this was crucial. And he said, simply and humbly, we love God because of our need for him. Human beings have a great need for God, for his love, for his care, for his shepherding, leading, guiding, protection. We need him in every way. And Søren Kierkegaard ascertained that. And it's important that you and I use our brains, use our souls, our hearts. We see the truth with our hearts and our minds and grasp it and put it into practice, just the way Jesus said. Now, this is very interesting because another famous person, Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, ends up concluding that love is the ultimate and highest goal to which we can aspire. Caring, loving God, loving others is the ultimate and highest goal that human beings can aspire to. He knew what Seer and Kierkegaard knew. They knew the truth about what humans are designed for. And another person who really got the dynamic of this caring thing was Johann Goethe, who says, if you want people to be glad to meet you, you must be glad to meet them. There has to be an interest, like Pissarro had, with everyone that he met, about everything he saw. This is part of caring. And this is where all of the joy and the meaningfulness in life comes from. And it's another very interesting thing that the Apostle Paul in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, actually makes sure that you and I know that, and he puts it this way, without love, I am nothing, he says. Without love. So Van Gogh ascertained that it's crucial to be loved and to love. Crucial for human beings. The followers of Jesus Christ, and the apostles in particular, actually say that without this love that Jesus Christ brought from the Father, that you and I are nothing. That's where it all starts. The power to live a joy-filled, meaningful, caring life comes from the source of all love. That's where it comes from. That's where it starts. You can't manufacture it in yourself. And I'll explain to you a little bit more how it comes. And also the final question about what Van Gogh didn't know. The one thing that he did not know that really kind of tripped him up in later life. And it's sad. It's sad. So I want you to know about it. And we'll talk more about this next time. But I'm thankful that you are a part of this conversation, this study. And I hope that you will live a more caring life and listen more lovingly to the people around you this week. God bless you. Bye-bye.